Hello everyone, this is Jyotsna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we will see about the user acceptance testing, which is one of the type or the level of for the software testing. As we have seen previously, there are four different levels of testing: unit testing, integration, system, and user acceptance testing. We have already seen the detailed explanation for unit, integration, and system testing. In this video, we will see the detailed explanation for the user acceptance testing. For user acceptance testing, we also call it as UAT testing. So starting with what is user acceptance testing, which is UAT testing. The main purpose of this testing is to validate the software against the business requirements. This validation is carried out by the end users who are familiar with the business requirements. User acceptance testing is carried out in a separate testing environment with a production-like setup. It is a kind of black box testing where two or more end user will be involved. There are two types of user acceptance testing. One is alpha and the other one is beta testing. For the detailed explanation about these two types, we will see it in our next video. So the next is why we do user acceptance testing. So there are many businesses that suffered big losses due to post-release issues, known the importance for the successful user acceptance test. The cost of fixing the defects after release is many times greater than fixing it before. So here UAT is a test space that largely depends on the perspective of the end users and the domain knowledge of a department that represent the end user. As a matter of fact, it would really be helpful to the business team if they were involved in the project quite early so that they can provide their views and contributions, and that would help effective uses of the system in the real world. That's why we use the user acceptance testing. As the name suggests, it is the acceptance for the testing from the user perspective. Next is when it is performed, when we do the user acceptance testing. So this is typically the last step before the product goes live or before the delivery of the product is accepted. This is performed after the product itself is thoroughly tested. That is after the system testing. So in system testing, we perform the different end-to-end testing methods, and after that UAT is performed. The next is who performs UAT. One is client, the another one is end user are involved in performing UAT testing. This could be either someone who is buying a product or someone who has had a software custom built through a product service provider or software service provider, or the end user if the software is made available to them ahead of the time and when their feedback is sought out. The team can be comprised of beta testers, or the customer should select UAT members internally from every group of organization so that each and every user role can be tested accordingly. The next is entry criteria for user acceptance testing. So there are different uh, entry criteria for the user acceptance testing. The first one is business requirements must be available to check or to test the our product against the business requirement. It must be available. The second is application code should be fully developed. Unit testing, integration testing, and system testing should be completed before the acceptance testing. No showstoppers, high medium defects in system integration test phase. The next one is only cosmetic error is acceptable before UAT. Regression testing should be completed with no major defects. All the reported defects should be fixed and tested before user acceptance testing. Traceability matrix for all testing should be completed. UAT environment must be ready for the testing. Sign-off mail or communication from system testing team and the system is ready for before the UAT testing. So these are the main points should be covered before starting the user acceptance testing. Means these are the entry criteria for the user acceptance testing. Next is how do we do UAT testing? So UAT is done by the intended users of the system or software. This type of software testing usually happens at the client location, which is known as beta testing. Once entry criteria for the UAT is satisfied, we perform following task to uh, by the tester for the UAT testing. Then first one is analysis of business requirement. First they analyze the business requirement, then creating UAT test plan. Then creation for the UAT user acceptance test plan is done. Then identifying test scenarios, and for those test scenarios, creating UAT test cases. Next is preparation of test data, production like data, which user might use while doing the testing. And then after a preparation of data, then run the test cases which they have created, these UAT test cases. And after running the test cases, record the results. What are the result of these test cases, if it is pass, fails, or any other. And after that, confirm business objective and confirm that the test cases have passed and it is meeting the business requirements or objectives. So these are the different steps which are performed while doing the UAT testing. The next is exit criteria for the user acceptance testing. So before moving on into production, following needs to be considered for the exit criteria. First is no critical defects open, business process works satisfactorily, and UAT sign off meeting with all stakeholders. These points should be done before moving into the production. So it is called as exit criteria for the UAT testing. The next is what are the best practices we use for the UAT testing. So here are the some of the points which comes under best practices while doing the UAT testing. First one is prepare UAT plan early in the project life cycle. If we do it early, then we can start UAT testing as early as possible. Prepare checklist before UAT starts. Conduct pre-UAT session during system testing phase itself. Set the expectation and define the scope for UAT clearly. Test end-to-end business flow and avoid system test. Test the system or application with real-world scenarios and data. Think as an unknown user to the system. Perform usability testing. Conduct feedback session and meeting before moving to production. These are some of the best practices for the UAT testing. So there are some tools which are in market we can use for user acceptance testing also. I have mentioned these two tools here. One is fitness tool and the another is vector tool. So fitness tool is a Java tool used as an testing engine. It is easy to create tests and record results in a table. Users of the tool enter the formatted input and tests are created automatically. The tests are then executed and the output is returned back to the user. So this is one of the tool. Then one is Vetter. It is a toolkit used to automate browser-based tests during user acceptance testing. Ruby is the programming language used for inter-process communication between Ruby and Internet Explorer. So these are two of the tools we use for user acceptance testing. Thank you so much for watching the video. In our next video, we will see about the two different types of user acceptance testing and the difference between those two types, which is alpha and beta user acceptance testing. Thank you so much for watching the video. Keep learning.